presenter, introduced earlier on, is Andrew Radonjic, Managing Director of Venture Minerals.
First, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's great to be here at the 2024 Battery Minerals Conference, and thank you again to the Paydirt team for putting on a fantastic event. Today I'd like to talk about something a little bit different, and we just heard we're located in the Midwest region of Western Australia. It's a very recent discovery. Venture Minerals has been focused on other commodities for some time now, but we think we might have got a very pleasant accident on something quite exciting. So we reckon we have a large-scale, high-grade, clay-hosted rare earth deposit at Jupiter, and being in the Midwest region of Western Australia, Tier 1 jurisdiction. And I want to talk about our recent record drill intersections, one of them being the highest clay-hosted rare earth intersection in Australia. Is that a disclaimer? There it is, 48 metres at over 3,000 ppm total rare earth oxide. Now this is in the clay, this is not in the hard rock, so we're talking about near surface, soft material, and we're getting results of over 2% so far. It's early days yet, and we've just completed a program which we announced this morning of another 250 drill holes. So at this stage we'd only drilled 112 holes in our program, which we completed up to just before Christmas. The great thing about this project is the location of it, and I'll go into a little more detail about that. We've got a couple of existing refineries. We've got a refinery being built nearby. We've got a road and a gas pipeline running through our tenement, and we've also got the Mount Well project within trucking distance. I won't talk much about Mount Lindsay. We've got Curtin working on extracting more revenue out of the flow sheet there at the moment, and Argonaut PCF are running a process on our iron ore project also in Tasmania. Corporate snapshot. Today we're trading at 2.7 post the announcement, so maybe a little bit closer towards just over $60 million. You can see the share price here has risen recently since December with the announcement of that record intersection. So certainly even at these levels we reckon we have a tremendous value proposition when compared to companies like Meteoric Resources, that's MEI, which is a very comparable asset, albeit in Brazil, which has a market cap of nearly $500 million. So please take note of that in terms of determining your decision to buy more stock in Venture. There's the board. Philippa's just here in front of us here. She was chairing the previous session. She's joined recently. She brings exposure to the rare earth space, which now, like I said, the company wasn't really focused on rare earths initially, so we welcome her presence. But a lot of the board's been there, the rest of the board's been there for some time, so certainly that connection to the other assets within the portfolio. But I suppose if we look at Venture, one thing we are pretty good at is making new discoveries, and certainly we're hoping that Jupiter will be our fourth discovery during our time on the ASX. Like I said today, I won't be talking about any of these projects in any great detail, but the focus today will be very much on Jupiter. The Tasmanian assets are very advanced and were the focus for quite a while, but the WA assets are a bit more, if you like, early stage. We've got a JV with Chalice, JV with Premier One, or Sensor as it used to be called, at Golden Grove North, which is just to the west of Jupiter. I won't talk too much about rare earths. You probably heard a fair bit about it, but as some colleague of mine told me one day, said a little bit of rare earths in everything makes it work better. And certainly, you know, look at these characteristics of catalytic, metallurgical, nuclear, electrical properties. They very much help improve everything. And the main focus, as we've heard, is the magnet rare earths, and those four are very, very important going forward for the decarbonisation, EV and wind turbines. Location. This is the key to this project. We're in the Midwest region. There's Geraldton. We're next to the Bitumen Highway that goes to Mount Magnet, and I was up there a couple of weeks ago, and there was these quadruples, or quads that we call them, and triples going past on that truck on that road every 10 minutes. So it's a well-used highway. It's got a gas pipeline running parallel to it. It's got a spur heading towards Jupiter. So we're about 20 k's off the road towards Jupiter, but it's very well located on a pastoral station. I didn't see one cattle, and maybe because I was mustering, but It's got 800 head of capital, so it's very sparsely populated. And that's the key to this project. There is no one there. Every drill program has had no issues in terms of permitting. So it's very well located. You can go into Bitumen Road. We went all the way down from Yalgoo all the way through, and there's a turn off here towards Inyaba, 69 kilometres. So you can take it by Bitumen Road to Inyaba, and likewise, I'm not sure about all the way to the Mount Well plant, but certainly you can in terms of trucking on roads that are very simple, straight, flat roads through to Mount Weld and then maybe onto Kalgoorlie for the refinery there. So that's it. The sales pitch is location, 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 and you can see why. We can provide mill feed to these plants. We can go alone if need be. It provides plenty of optionality. A little bit about the story, how it has emerged. Now, we found some rare earths at Mount Lindsay in Tasmania. Didn't amount to too much. We went looking. We were interested in the clay-hosted position, and we found 1,800 ppm at surface here at our Brothers project. So we pegged that, and then we found, fortuitously, a nice patch of ground just to the south of us, which had 2,000 ppm sitting in the clay, drilled by an individual, got co-funding from the state government, and that's there, becomes Jupiter. At that stage, it was called the Radonjic project. So we were earning in to that project, and we pegged more land around it. There's the gas pipeline, there's a road. We did some drilling here to the north. Again, keep an eye on that as we go forward through the presentation. We then did the first program. That was early May. In May we did the JV. In June we did the first maiden program, and we were getting nearly 50 metres at 1,500 ppm to the north of Jupiter, with 15 metres at over 2,000. And this is Jupiter itself. We've got 42 metres, 1,600. Very similar grades, about 10 kilometres to the north. So pretty excited by that. And then we had the Heritage Act change in Western Australia, as we all know. So we focused on geophysics to get to that 51% earn-in phase. It was only $250,000 to get to that point. So a very, I suppose, soft JV, for want of a better expression. And we drilled here, and we did after the drilling, in May we did mag, drone mag, and we did ground-spaced gravity. And these are the results of that program. This is the drone mag. There's the anomaly. We drew a red dot dashed line around that. Coincidental mag and gravity. This is the gravity on land, 200 metre space stations, and that became the Jupiter target. We did a little bit more more detailed sampling, and we got 11 metres at 3,000 ppm. So we could see there was great potential here within the clays. We then did a program in November, and we did a little bit of RC drilling, 25 holes, and we started getting very similar grades. One of the better results here in hole 19, we actually didn't even, in terms of had over 7,000 ppm, but the intersection wasn't big enough to get into the best of the best results. So certainly starting to see some of these things. The magenta is over 5,000 or 50,000 ppm metres, and it's very consistent. So this is all the way, this is along a track here, which I drove down just the other day. We're starting to see the magnet rare earths average around about 23%, which is typical for this clay-hosted deposit. Important thing is it's very low thorium uranium, which is exciting in terms of you think about the potential blending down at the plant with Iluka down at Inyaba. And we're very consistently getting 20 to 30 metre widths over 2,000 ppm within much broader zones, in this case up to 64 metres over 1,000 ppm. We then did a program. We announced the results of this in February this year, just before the RIU Explorers Conference, and we were starting to get some very consistent results, 40 metres at 1,800 ppm, 60 metres at 1,700 ppm. This is the headline, 48 metres at 3,000 ppm, 30 metres at 3,100 ppm, just 500 metres away. And today we've got an update on this intersection here. We've got 2 metres at 2%, but it's 79 metres at 1,800 ppm. So this is why we're getting some of the best intersections in Australia. So here we have a 7 kilometres north-south and east-west line that we've drilled, and we're starting to see a lot of consistency over this 40 square kilometre target. So what are we seeing? We're seeing 20 to 30 metre intersections over 2,000 ppm over 40 square kilometres, and if you do the maths on that, it's well in excess of 1 billion tonnes. So we're heading towards getting this resource drilled by the middle of the year, so we can, not drilled, we've already drilled it, but to get that announced to the market, to give the market a sense of scale what this is. Now that's, Meteoric's 400 million tonnes at 2,600 ppm as a comparison. Here are more results. This was announced a couple of weeks after that first batch, and we're getting some high grades NdPr results over 5,000 ppm. So we will get lots of these higher grade zones, and we'll start to get areas that are richer in these magnet rare earths that we can focus on. The scale of this is enormous, so you can focus on a very small area and get 100 million tonnes quite easily. So very, very early days. We're getting consistently the same grades time and time again. Okay, I'll come back to those sections which I just were on the screen there a second ago. So that's the section we'll look at in a moment. A couple of weeks ago, we just announced another strategic acquisition to the project. We saw an opportunity to grab some more land and certainly, if you like, shut out any more competition. So we pegged all the rest of the high-grade targets. We've increased our area by 36% to 1,353 square kilometres. We have now unencumbered access to Jupiter, so we don't rely upon anyone else in terms of getting access to that project. So we're setting ourselves up with these strategic acquisitions for development, with an eye towards development in the hopefully not too distant future. Latest drill results, and these are the ones we announced this morning. We got the second, third and fourth highest drill intersections in today's batch, which is the final batch results in that drilling done just before Christmas. And again, you'll see the same again. You'll see consistent results. Here's 79 metres at 1,800 ppm. It's over 60 metres at over 2,000 ppm. So again, big, broad intersections, which with high-grade results well over 2,000 ppm. So again, very consistent. So we'll just have a look at this cross-section here to give people a view of what it looks like. That's a 7-kilometre cross-section. And let me tell you, we haven't closed this off. This is going in, it's open in most directions still, but we're just containing ourselves to this red dot of Jupiter, if you like, and that's a very consistent across the entire deposit there. There's your 48 metres at 3,000 ppm. Like I said, the intersection, the record intersection next to it, right next to it, 30 metres at 3,000 ppm. So very consistent ore body, which is exactly what you want. So in summary, we've got 1,353 square kilometres. We've only looked at 40 square kilometres of it. We're 300 kilometres from the Port of Geraldton. The infrastructure is second to none. We had a very high success strike rate. 90% of our holes have intersected over 1,000 ppm. So very, very consistent. We're getting high-grade values within our magnet rare earths of over nearly 4,000 ppm near dioxide, 1,200 ppm praseodymium, and up to 700 ppm in dysprosium and 100 terbium. So, and also some elevated values of samarium. So there are nice high-grade pockets which will be very useful for supplying to potential feed partners within the area. Next steps, the Stage 2 resource definition drill program was completed. We drilled it in about 4 weeks. We were looking at potentially 8 weeks to drill that, so that went very well. We're drilling like 10 holes a day, so there's about 250 holes there, and you'll start to see the first batch of those results over in the next 2 to 3 weeks' time. So the metallurgical test work has begun. We're focusing on the mineralogy initially. We've got 50, 60, 70 metres. There's going to be a fair bit of variability, so trying to get different clay ore types in there. We've employed a PhD in geometallurgy to go and work on that. So she's currently just came in to be on site tomorrow. And like I said, we're targeting that maiden clay hosted rare earth estimation for Jupiter later this quarter. I won't talk too much, but I'll very briefly wrap up. It's a compelling story, consistency in terms of grade. It's high grade over the 40 square kilometre target. We're very well located, being surrounded by existing plants, and we see that there's a huge proposition value for shareholders just in the rare space. But certainly we have some very good assets still at Mount Lindsay and tin tungsten, with a tin price now about $32,000, and we're hoping to extract some value out of Riley iron ore mine in the near term. Thank you.